So hi everyone, and welcome to live support with Odile for changing negative implicit childhood memories using the Remmert Method. Created this forum for those who've watched our YouTube videos or read our book and need personal help and with using the techniques to get the changes that they want, but they aren't in a position to do one-to-one sessions. So if you're new to the Remmert Method, be sure to check out the description, the links in the description for more information. All right, so for today, Specicle says, I wanted to ask how to stay motivated when practicing memories. I tend to start out strong, but then after a couple of days, I procrastinate. And even though I know doing this will manifest the life I desire, I become consumed with everyday stresses and use various devices to cope with it. So how do I focus on the memories? Thank you. So thank you for the question, Specicle. It's a good one, and you're not alone. So a lot of people I know deal with this, and I did in the beginning as well. And it's normal, first of all, to experience resistance when we're changing something that's going to, create core foundational changes to the status quo, to us, who we are and how the world works, because the brain is trying to keep us safe by keeping us the same. So recognizing, first of all, that it is normal helps to bring the stress chemicals down so that you're not worrying about it. And if you compare it to getting physically fit, so if you think about getting physically fit, if you wanted to get fit enough to run a marathon, and so you started running a few times a week, there would come a point when you wouldn't want to go out and run, right? So there'll come a point where you're about to level up and you'll feel resistance to running. And there'll be days you want to skip it altogether. And even though you know that you want to get fit so that you can run the marathon, you would still experience that resistance. So resistance is part of the process of change. So how to overcome it? Ask yourself, first of all, what happens when I try? So when you think about practicing the memories, for example, where does your mind go? So what's happening inside you? What thoughts are coming up or what feelings? So you mentioned that you become consumed with everyday stresses. So that's your brain focusing on perceived danger. So anything where we feel negative emotions, that's the stress chemicals that are connected to the survival state. So that's the unconscious part of your brain thinking that you're in danger. And that's also normal. So it's what the brain is designed to do, to focus on the danger. So it's like a dog that hasn't been trained. It gets distracted by a squirrel, and you as the dog owner can recognize that the dog is untrained, and you can calmly, consistently, and gently redirect him and bring him to heel. And you know that that's going to take some repetition. So here are the steps to take right now. First of all, make a list of the everyday stresses that are consuming you. So whatever those are, make a list of them on a piece of paper, and there's no need to put any details, just give each one a name and write it down. Then make a list of the new memories that you need to practice, and have no more than 5 at a time. In fact, you could even start with just 3, see what feels comfortable. And then tell yourself that you only have to practice 1. So start with going, I don't need to do all of them. I just need to do 1. That's all. So once you've done 1, then you may find you do the next one, but you don't have to. So just keep that helps to keep the resistance down. You only need to do 1. Then the second piece of this is decide on specific times to practice the memories, or that one memory at least, and know that you'll probably resist. So expect the resistance, and then you'll deal with it, just like you would expect the dog to try and chase the squirrel, but you're going to bring it to heel. And then thirdly, ask yourself where your mind goes when you think of practicing the memories. So as you're here right now watching this recording, when you think about, I'm going to practice the memories, become the observer and notice where your mind goes, what happens inside you. So do you feel, for example, do you feel like you don't have the time? Does it go, oh, I don't have time to do that? Do you feel like there's no point because it won't work? Do you feel like it's too much effort? Do you feel like you need to focus on something else instead? And then answer those thoughts. So, for example, if you feel like you don't have time, answer that in the moment with, it hardly takes any time at all. It takes under 2 minutes, and it takes less time, in fact, to do this than it takes to go to the bathroom or to brush my teeth or to take a shower. And in fact, I can do it while I'm doing those things. Okay, so answer yourself with that kind of answer. If you feel like there's no point, it won't work, answer that with something like maybe, but it won't do any harm. If I had to spend an hour hiking up a hill to stand on my head and it didn't work, that wouldn't be worth trying. But doing this for a couple of minutes, even if it doesn't work, the fact that it might work, 2 minutes is definitely worth a try. So again, answering yourself to help keep that resistance down and reassuring that unconscious part of your brain that thinks you're going to be in danger if you do this thing. If you feel it's too much effort, answer that with it takes no physical effort. No physical effort at all. So it's not like having to go to the gym and work out or go running or any other physical activity that you'd have to do to achieve changes. The feeling of it's an effort is just an illusion created by, and you can say this to yourself, the feeling of effort is just an illusion created by my brain to keep me safe by keeping me the same so that I don't change too much. So you consciously want to change, but the unconscious part of your brain thinks that it's dangerous to change at all, because you may not be happy right now, you may not have what you want, but you're still alive. And bearing in mind, the unconscious part of the brain can't use logic or reason like the conscious mind can. And then if you feel like, let's say you think, well, when I think about practicing memories, I always feel like there's something else that I need to focus on instead. Answer that with, yes, I do need to do that. So acknowledge it, and I'll do it right after I've spent just 2 minutes doing this. And I'll be in a better state to do it, that thing more effectively, because I'll have my prefrontal cortex online. So I have that thing on my list, and in 2 or 3 minutes from now, I'll focus on it. So you're acknowledging, you're not denying or trying to push away or trying to force anything. So remind yourself that anything else you would focus on will be affected by your current chemical state and the childhood references you have. So practicing those new memories is like making sure your GPS is set for the destination you want to drive to, and that you've released the handbrake before pressing the accelerator. So I hope that helps, but let me know if you need more suggestions. All right, so next up is an anonymous question. This person says, thank you so much for your answer in the previous video. I will work with the videos you mentioned. Can you give me some advice on how to start an exposure routine, like driving down the block, going further distances? I appreciate this so much. So this is a person who had been feeling anxiety and panic attacks, particularly about driving. And they were having sort of intrusive thoughts of intentionally crashing. So they're frightened to leave, to drive. So thank you for the question, and well done for reaching out. So the first point here is that with any kind of exposure therapy, it's very important to not take any physical action until you can just think about taking that action and feel okay with it. So you're not physically going to take any action until you're able to think about it and feel okay. So you want to get to the point where you can just think about opening the car door and sitting in the car without starting it, and then getting out again and feel okay about that. So that's where you start. And then from there, you'll build up, and which I'll go through those steps in a minute. So to get to that point, notice what happens when you think about getting in the car to drive somewhere. And as I said, I know the last time you mentioned intrusive thoughts of intentionally crashing. So let's look at that first. So think of the unconscious part of your brain as an untrained dog, and your conscious thinking mind, so you, as the dog's owner. You're the dog's owner. So if you did have a dog that kept chasing squirrels, or rather than just following the dog and being dragged along by the dog's leash, you would want to take control and call the dog to heel, no matter how determined he was to chase the squirrel. So you just keep going, come on, heel, 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 and you'd be gentle and consistent. And so you're not just going to follow it wherever it goes. So do the same with your brain. So first of all, it's important to know that many, if not most people, have thoughts like that at times. So I know I have, so I knew exactly what you're talking about. So I've had that when I'm driving and I've thought, what if I just suddenly turned the wheel and careered off the road or drove into that tree? So it's kind of like a compulsive thought that came up, but it's what you do from there that makes the difference. So I think that most people have intrusive negative thoughts like that in various areas of life at times. So the difference is recognizing it as just a thought, not buying into it, and changing it in the moment, rather than becoming fixated by it or entranced by it. So just like bringing the dog to heel instead of following it as it chases the squirrel. So have something that you can bring the dog to heel with. So meaning have something that you can bring your focus to, you can redirect your focus to. Decide that you are the boss of your own brain and you will correct your brain's focus. Okay, so for example, set the intention that every time your mind wanders to those thoughts, every time you notice you've got a thought like that, you'll bring your focus to the feeling of your hands on the wheel, your bum in the seat, and your feet on the floor. Or you'll bring your focus to the word orange. Or you'll bring your focus to a phrase of a song that you like. Or you'll redirect your focus to someone you love or something you're grateful for. Or you'll bring your focus to the memory of a favorite smell, like the sea or vanilla or coffee. So whatever works for you, and you can use different ones at different times, or you can use a combination, it doesn't matter. Just do whatever feels good in the moment. And if one doesn't work, so let's say you have that thought and you think, okay, orange, the word orange, and I'm picturing an orange, and your brain, it's not working, your brain is redirecting something else, then, back to those negative thoughts, then try something else. Think, okay, the smell of the sea, or I love the color purple, or, so just try, or sing a song, try different things, but do it with the attitude, the same attitude you would of calmly bringing a dog to heel, not like, I've got to change this. Oh, it's terrible. I've got to change it. So don't judge it. Just go, oh, the dog's chasing a squirrel. Come on, heel, heel. So the equivalent of that is, I'm going to intentionally crash. I'm going to crash. It's okay. Orange, or sing a little song, or it's okay. I love, you know what I love? I love purple flowers. I think they're beautiful. So you're just gently redirecting rather. So after you've done that, and of course, this is in addition to finding and changing the negative childhood references that I mentioned in the last session, the previous answers, imagine just imagine, now you're not going to do it, just imagine that you're just going to open the car door and then sit in the driver's seat, but not start the car. So as you imagine doing that, notice how that feels. And remember to use the redirection, that bringing the dog to heel, if you find that your mind is wandering or you're starting to feel nervous. Once you're able to feel fine, when you just think about sitting in the driver's seat without starting the car, then you can physically do that. So just open the door and just sit in the driver's seat without starting the car, gently reassuring yourself and redirecting your mind. So bringing that dog to heel whenever it starts to pay attention to the squirrel, and then get out of the car and congratulate yourself for doing that. And that's that for that step. So that's all you need to do there. And if you find that you're starting to feel panicky, or even just a strong, concern, worry, pay attention to that and don't go any further. Just go as far as you can without feeling that feeling. Okay, so you don't want to allow those stress chemicals to be pumped into your system. So once you're able to do that, that's open the door, just think about, opening the door, sitting in the driver's seat, and then getting out again. and you feel fine with that, then you can go on to the next step, which will be just thinking about starting the car, and that's all. So this is the steps of the exposure therapy, doing it safely and without doing more harm than good, right? So you're just going to think about starting the car. Notice what happens, repeat the steps from before. Once you're able to think about switching on the car, starting the car, letting it run, and then switching it off and getting out again, and you feel okay about that, you feel fine about that, then you can physically do that. And again, you're just going to switch it on, let it run a bit, constantly reassuring yourself, constantly redirecting that dog, bringing that dog to heel, and then switch it off and get out and congratulate yourself again. Good job. I took that next step. That's a very important piece. Okay. And then once you've done that, you've been able to do that, do it physically. So you've done that. And then once you've been able to do that and you feel fine with it, then you can move forward with like driving a few feet or around the block, as you said, but always only when you're feeling fine, when you just think about taking that action first. So I hope that answers your question for exposure therapy, but let me know if you need more or if you have any other questions on that. So number 4 for today, we have Waleska. Waleska says, hi, I'm seeing results, but I'm also dealing with a lot of resentment, a what could have been if phase. Feeling like I discovered this method too late in my life, and there are many opportunities that because of age won't come up again. What is the best way to solve this? Thanks in advance. All right, well, let's go. So there's a few things here. So first of all, I know that feeling. So I felt exactly the same when I first found out all of this information. And I think a lot of people do, regardless of what age they were when they found it. For me, I was in I was 51 or 52 or something, and I had that same feeling. We've worked with young people, teenagers, who felt that they found this information too late, and Steve's had clients in their 70s, and every age in between. So it's not just about the age. It is number one, it's a natural thing to feel, and number two, there probably programs there as well. So we all have thoughts like that, and all it's doing is keeping you in alignment with a particular feeling, denying you the ability to live in the only moment that actually does exist, which is now. So if you're spending all of your time focusing on what could have been, you're not actually living in the moment, of course. And it's like it's most likely repeating a program from the past of being held back, being stuck, and so on. Now, a way of thinking of this is, so we want to answer the logic of this first to get the conscious mind on board, and then we can address the rest. So thinking about the child in you. So we've all effectively adopted a child. So you've adopted a child, the little you. So imagine you've adopted a child that had the childhood experiences that you had, and the people who raised that child up until you got them treated them badly. Now, what would you do with that child? How would you treat that child now? How would you help them to make the most of their lives moving forward despite their past? So, you would give them the best life you can moving forward, treating them now the way they should have been treated all along. Would you do that? Or would you keep telling them all about how badly they were treated and continue to keep them focusing on how terrible it was and pointing out everything they've missed out on? That's effectively what you're doing with the little you, with yourself. So you want to acknowledge, first of all, that the resentment is justified. The resentment is absolutely justified. You have every right to feel resentful, because you should have had this information earlier and you should have been given everything you needed to thrive. But since you weren't, and you can't travel back in time and change it, now what can you do with what you have? So otherwise it's like you're walking backwards to where you want to go, but so you're facing where you've been and you're walking towards where you want to be, but you're not looking there. So you're not going to end up there and you're never going to see it. So you want to go, that's where, that shouldn't have happened. Absolutely acknowledge it, because I think acknowledging it is a big piece of letting it go, or being able to let it go. And so that shouldn't have happened. And now I'm going to do what I can with what I do have, so that I'm not wasting what I have, the time that I have. Now, here's a key piece to this as well. If you still find it difficult to let go of the resentment, and if you still find it difficult to switch that perception and focus on moving forward with what you do have, do the due justice technique. So I'll put the link to the due justice technique in the description of this video. So go through that, follow the instructions, and do that until that resentment, that anger reduces. So make sure that you follow the instructions, because it's there's certain things that you need to do it in order for it to be effective. All right, so I hope that works. I hope that helps. And of course, let me know if you need more moving forward with that. And finally, for today, we have Prachi. Prachi says, I can't make friends and I feel left out. No one talks to me in college, and I try to identify the memories, but I can't find any memories related to that feeling. Can you help me in finding those memories? So thank you, Prachi, for bringing that question. And so for those who haven't seen it, I answered Prachi's previous question in another video, so you can find that for the background on how to address this topic. But moving forward with this now, so you want to ask, of course, first, how do I know? So how do I know I can't make friends? How do I know that I'm left out? How do I know nobody talks to me? All of those, that kind of whatever's there. And then, and how does that feel? So when those are the first two steps from the previous answer anyway. Now, at this point, when you ask, how does it feel? Get in touch with the physical sensation of the feeling. So when you think about nobody talks to you and you can't make friends and you feel left out, bring your focus to your physical body and ask yourself what sensations you're feeling. How does that feel in your body? Then ask your subconscious to bring up a version of the little you who's feeling those same feelings or sensations. So just imagine yourself as a child in front of you who's feeling those feelings and sensations, and just go with the first version that comes up. And it doesn't matter what age, whatever comes up, go with that. Then ask yourself, how do you think that child is feeling? And what do you think she believes about herself and the world? So whatever that image is, or that idea that has come up of yourself as a child, how is that child feeling? And how do you think that child is feeling? And what do you think she believes about herself and the world? Once you've answered that, then ask yourself, and how does that little you know that about herself and the world? How does she know all of whatever's come up? She wasn't born that way, and she's only been on the planet for a short period of time. So how did she come to know that? And then see what comes up from there. And you may find that thoughts, feelings, ideas, moments in time come up. And bear in mind that even if it's something that you think, well, that's not actually a memory, that's okay. If your brain has brought it up, even if it's just an imagining, so it's not actually real, it's not a real memory, it's just a moment, it's just a flash of something. If your brain has brought it up, it's connected. So address it and change it anyway. So use the other videos to change those memories. And if you still don't have anything that comes up, start with the bookmark memories. So again, I'll put a link in the description to the bookmark memories. Start by creating those from scratch. and practice them until they become established. And as you do that, you may find you have memories come up that you hadn't thought of before. Then you can change those. If not, that's okay. Just stick to those 6 bookmark memories. Keep repeating them, practicing them with all the feelings until you either start to notice results or you do have negative memories pop up that you can change. So I hope that's helpful. Please keep reaching out for more clarification and with more questions if you need to. All right, I think that's it for today. And so we will see you next week. Check the description of this video for links to get help for yourself, submit your own questions, or I can work with you in the room. Lots of love to all of you. See you next time.